skills and
This call is now being recorded.
study skills and notes taking. If you can hear me, just give an emoji so that thank you very much. All right, so it's nice to have you all here once again. It's really great to have you here, and and I really appreciate Michael for that really warm introduction. Appreciate that. Thank you very much. So I go into what we're here for today. It's study skills and note taking. Usually, before I talk anything about academics, I like to refer to the little history I had when I was still in primary school. I was what Yoruba people call Olodo. Yeah, what Yoruba people call Olodo. And then I think at some point, somebody in my family called me coconut head. It was that bad. I usually flunked a lot. I didn't seem to really understand um, whatever I was being taught. But this continued for some years till I got to JSS3. And then after JSS3, um, my dad kind of exposed me to novels. And from that point, I picked interest in reading. I picked interest in reading. I read so much that I could read over 200 pages of a novel in less than 48 hours. In some days, I read some of those novels in just a day. While I was doing other house chores now, you wash plates, you do wash clothes and all that. But reading became quite interesting for me. So this was something that actually went on to help me later in life. That would go on to help me in my academics and in my study life. Now, that being said, I want us to go to the first slide here. I just want to let you know what we'll quickly go through in the next 25 minutes. I'm going to try as much as possible to um, hit the nail on the head. So we'll have an introduction, the importance of study skills, effective study habits, the methods of note taking, tools for better note taking, review, and then the practice of studying and note taking, and then we'll conclude. So why are we doing this? We need to know what are study skills. Study skills are actually the abilities that help you as a student to organize, process, and retain information. If you want to study something, you want to understand how it works, you want to know what information you can get from it. This information will also help you to know how to apply whatever you are getting from that material or study or academic book. And I want you to know that it's not only in academics that you study. Some people want to go for interviews, they study too. They want to, pass some professional exams, they study too. Even in business, you have to study. Yeah. So I want that to be clear to us. And then why are we focusing on note taking? Because it's an important aspect of studying, and it actually helps you to retain what you have studied, and it helps you to remember what you have studied. If you remember this saying, they said something like this, I think, while I was still in secondary school, that the shortest pencil is more memorable than the sharpest brain, something like that. I don't know if you remember that. So that's it. We know what study skills are, and then we know why we are focusing on note taking. So we dive in. What's the importance of study skills? The first here is for better retention of information. You want to be able to retain information. You don't want to get into an examination hall, or you don't want to get into an interview and then your brain just blanks out. So you need really good study skills to help you retain information that is necessary for whatever you want to do, or for whatever exams, interviews you want to sit for. Then you need you need good study skills for enhanced time management. I can tell you that if you do not have good study skills, you may end up going through a semester with 6 courses and you have not read through just one course, or you've not been able to go beyond just 20% of the study material. Yes, it can be that bad if you do not have good study skills. So it helps you to enhance your time management, and then it helps you to reduce stress during exams. There's a confidence that comes with having good study skills, and then it improves your academic performance. This is actually the end point. This is what happens at the end of building such a skill. You're able to ace your papers, you're able to pass with flying colors and standouts academically. And then generally for life, good study skills will help you to learn in any environment, in any field, seamlessly and quickly. We are in an age where people just move from career to career, and it requires you to be able to learn things quickly. Usually, when you are going into another field, different from the one you originally started from, you will need to do a lot of study. When you have good study skills, it's very easy for you to understand new concepts, and then you get into such places ASAP. So before we even start, I want you to know that study is difficult without a genuine interest in what you want to study, or what is being studied, what you're interested in studying. You see, they just give us books and then we just flip them open and then we start reading through. Now, reading is actually different from studying. When you are studying, you are actually picking points. You are trying to get the meat, the main core of whatever it is that you are studying. So it will require digging beyond just the surface. So for you to achieve successful study of any material, you must be interested in it. So you should know how to pick your interest in that material before you start studying. Now, you need to have good study habits. Now, good study habits will make the act or the process of studying very easy. Good study habits, effective study habits will help you make your studying really easy, to make it seamless. You don't have to stress. And some of these effective study habits are time management. You need to create a schedule. You see, as humans, we are behavioral beings. We actually, someone would say we are creatures of habits. Yes, when you program yourself to study at a certain time, or you prepare yourself to study at a specific time, your brain kind of gets into the mode for studying when it has gotten used to studying at that particular time. And then we also have prioritizing of tasks. You need to be able to highlight, okay, this is exactly what I want to study. A timetable will help you with this, and this is the part of this material or this course that I want to study, that I want to focus on in this my study session. You get the idea. So it's not enough for you to just have a timetable for your study. You should also say, okay, when I'm picking this course material, I want to go through chapter 1, the introduction into this course. Let me get the basics, the background. You get. So it's important you prioritize tasks, and then you also need to know what is actually important and expected of you within it. Then another effective study habit is active learning. Before you start studying, you need to ask questions. You don't just open a book and you start reading. When you start reading, it's just as if you are going through a newspaper, and you really wouldn't retain the information you get when you read. You really wouldn't. But when you ask yourself questions of what to expect or what you even know about this thing, it will create some gaps that your brain will be finding a way to actually fill up, as opposed to just reading. You are just going blah, 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 blah. You are just reading, But when you ask yourself questions before you start studying, questions like, what do I know about this course? What's the importance of this course? How can I apply this course in my field of study? You understand? It will really help you to anticipate, predict, and then while you are studying, you'll be able to fill in the gaps as you are studying. This is actually active learning. So studying is a very, very active exercise. People who study a lot, that I know, they have to eat a lot because it consumes a lot of energy. I mean, for those of us back then in school that did lots of CDBs and all that, I remember well that I used to block one joint where they sell beans and yam. And me and my friend, Dr. S.A. now, we used to visit that joint frequently. I mean, before we go for TDB, we make sure we charge ourselves up and all that. So that's just on the light part. So it's a very rigorous exercise, and you need to engage with the material, the discussions and the quizzes. And then there's usually, in some materials, you see things like outlines, and then you see things like what you are expected to learn at the end of studying a section or a chapter of that textbook or study material or courseware. So what you want to do is that you want to really engage with those things. You want to be looking forward to those things that are expected of you by the time you are done studying that particular place. These things help you to just build focus. Then in active learning, once you have studied, you can always block your friends and teach them what you've learned. Now, probably I should have even started with this third point: avoid multitasking. You need to focus on one task at a time. Whenever you are studying, we are in an age of distraction. I mean, so much distraction, so much distraction, so many things that are going to, get your attention. But you need to learn to focus and focus on one thing at a time. And in this case, studying. And when you are studying, if you are going through the material, just focus on it. Focus on that aspect that you have decided that you would study on, from the time management plan you made at the beginning, when you prioritized your tasks. So focus on those tasks. Don't try to do too many things at the same time. You won't learn effectively that way. And then finally, you have breaks and rests. You cannot just, some people, they go into studying and then you see them, they'll be in a spot for 3 hours, 4 hours. I know there are some really unique people that have crazy attention spans and they can really study for really long. But for the average Joe, for the average person, average students, it's not easy for you to study for such long hours without a break effectively. In fact, there was a certain video I watched on YouTube, and it showed that the longer your study sessions, the less effective your retention become. So it's like law of diminishing returns. The longer you sit studying, the lesser your retention. So for you to fix that, you need to create breaks and rests. And in those breaks, you can reward yourself maybe with chewing gum, with sweets, or a little treat. So you can study for 25 minutes and then rest for 5 minutes. You understand? Take a walk. You understand? Just go and do something. Don't go and enter social media because you may not get back to studying again. So those are the effective study habits. Now, quickly, the study techniques. Study techniques. I think we should be familiar with this SQ3R method. I think I've been seeing this method for a very long time. I think since GSS, my GSS classes. So it starts with surveying. You need to survey the material. Usually you just flick through, you pick highlights. All this will help you highlight the things that are really important, the headings, the topics that are there. It engages your brain. It helps you to actually anticipate what you are going to study in the material. And then you question it. If you go back to the last slide that I checked, you realize that there were some questions that I asked. What do I know about this? How is it going to help? Stuff like that. Those are the questions you are going to ask. This thing is already engaging your brain. It's already charging your brain to suck in information, to fill in gaps. That's what questions do. Then you read through the material and then you recite. It's a really old technique. I don't do this, but for people, some people that I know, they've done this and it has really helped them. Yeah, and then you review. So when you read, you are going through the material this time, and as you are reading after asking questions, what you are picking from reading will be filling in the gaps of the questions that were raised. Then you recite. This is actually really good for people in courses like medicine, engineering, where you have some really novel concepts that are very new to you, very new vocabulary like that. You need to recite them so that you can retain those new terminologies. And then okay. And then you review, you go back through the material. So that's one method, SQ3R. You survey it, question the material, question yourself about the material, you read, you recite, and then you review. Then you have spaced repetition. So this is like reading the material over and over and over again, over and over and over again. You keep doing that over and over and over again. So you must, in your time management, you must have planned that this is the number of times I must have read this particular material before exam starts. You understand? So if you are having a course, say GST 101, I must have read GST 101 like 5 times before exams. Then you now plan your time. How are you going to achieve that? Then you have active recall. Active recall is testing yourself without referring to the notes to reinforce learning. And remember that you must have gone through the material, you must have read through it before recalling. It's like garbage in, garbage out. If you've not read, what did you want to recall? There's nothing to recall. So this is another way of studying. When you have gone through the material, then you now generate questions or you go through past questions. Then those past questions will now begin to challenge your memory of what you have gone through. So this is the third study technique. Then we go into note taking. Note taking, like we learned from the beginning, is actually an integral part of studying. It helps you to retain and recall the information that you have studied. So there are several methods of note taking. First is the Cornell method, and I'll show you pictures of this later on. We have the mind mapping, we have the outline method, we have the flow method. Now the Cornell method is so beautiful because you can summarize a whole topic in just one page. And I'll show you how that is. The mind mapping is just like, let me use a real life scenario. If you know one particular person, say I know Michael now. I know Michael, and then there are some mutual friends that I know with Michael. So those are people that we are connected to. So there's a way I can map them to Michael. So you can have a major topic, say photosynthesis now. When you put photosynthesis at the center of the mind map chart, you begin to relate other things to it. So it brings to memory how all those different topics, all those different points relate to the topic. Then we have the outline method. You just outline important topics, and then you also put in some important statements or facts within those outlines. So usually in outline method, you have a good idea of all the topics, and then you know important facts about those topics. Then you have the flow method. The flow method is very good for processes. Like now, if you are talking about something like, say, we're talking about oxidative phosphorylation for those who did biochemistry, or processes that have to follow a certain direction and stuff like that. You have arrows linking points, stages of those processes to each other. So these are the methods of note taking. Let me show you what they look like. This is the Cornell method. You'll notice that on this single page, you have the title on top. That's number one. And then let's go through number 3 before number 2. Number 3 are the keywords. Usually what makes studying difficult for many people is because they don't know some terminologies. So you pick out the keywords. When you pick out the keywords, then you list them out. Then you now take notes on those keywords. Keywords, take notes on them. And then once you have done that, you've put the keywords, notes on them, then you now summarize. Try to summarize in probably 2 or 3 paragraphs the main message in that title that you just finished studying. And then you have the flow method. You can see this chart I have here is like a chart for how to build a social media page. So you see, studying also applies to content creators. I mean, any field at all you are in. You can see what they are targeting is actually the growth of the page, you know, or the accounts, the channel. Then you can see the different things that have to be done before growth can be achieved. That's flow method for you. Then, yeah, you don't have lots of notes, but you know how the ideas are linked together. Then you have the outline or outlining method. You have the main topic, then subtopic under that main topic. Then you now have a supporting fact or main message. Then you put it. Then you can have a subtopic too. You understand? So let's say in a particular course, you have maybe like 5 topics. And under those 5 topics, you have maybe like 2 or 3 subtopics. So at the end of the day, people that use this kind of method, they know like the headings of everything in that material. They know the topics. They know the main points. They know the main points. So if you just ask them question, they may give you a really general answer to it. But that works. It will earn you some mark. And it also depends on what you are studying for too. If it's something that requires general knowledge, this is actually something that will really help you. Yeah. So we go to the last one, mind map. Mind map method is really cool. It's good for people who have very visual memory, people who have photographic memory, you know, and other than them too, you can also use it if you're not good with what you call pictorial memory, photographic memory. It will help you. It's very similar to the flow method, but here you just have the main idea in the center, and then other things linked to it. Is somewhat similar to the flow method. Yeah, and then how to take effective notes. Please, when you are taking effective notes, focus on the key points. Focus on the main idea. When lecturers that come that don't dictate, they come and they talk, highlight the things that they keep repeating. That's how to take effective notes. Then use abbreviations and symbols. If, of course, usually when they are verbally teaching or lecturing, they'll be fast. So use your shorthands. I think I can still remember lots of shorthands that we used back then in school. Then use headings and subheadings. It will help you organize your notes and help you arrange it in your head in a way that you can remember. Yeah. Then leave space so that when you are reviewing the notes, you can fill in other information that you remember, you understand, or other important things that you later find out. This is how to take effective notes. Then the tools for taking notes. Old school notes and pen will work for you. And for you that you are tech savvy, you can use your phone pads or some other softwares that are listed beneath there, the Microsoft OneNote, Evernote. The advantages of these other softwares or apps is that you can upload your notes online, and wherever you are without the original device where you wrote it, you can access the cloud and get your notes and continue with what you were doing. And they have some other things, so it helps you to access whatever you are doing. You may not be able to go with your notes and pens some places. Yeah, it's really true. So, and then practice and review your notes. For this thing to stick, for this thing to gum, according to what one of my lecturers used to say back then in school, if you read it very well, it will gum, it will gum. I can't remember his name now, but if you want it to gum, you must do it over and over and over again, especially when you are just trying to build the habit of studying. You understand? So you may practice note taking with audio or video clips, documentaries, news, sports commentary, whatever. Just you can practice academic lectures. It's not only academic lectures. There are many things that you can practice your studying and note taking skills on. I remember some of my friends back then, their parents will on NTA news for them and ask them to jot down the news. And these guys were among the top. They were the people that I was competing with back then, because, man, those guys had really good notes, very clean notes, and good memory. I mean, it was really impressive. So you can practice with those things. Then always review your notes. There are many of us that have many jotters, many notes that we don't even go through. Some of them have gathered dust. And when it is exam time, you now start dusting it, and you can't really be efficient that way. Review daily, review weekly, and then organize your notes. Your notes should not just be scattered everywhere. If you are the type that writes on pieces of paper, you should have a folder where you keep your notes in and you organize them. It will really help you. You see, organization really helps memory. When your brain knows that this thing is here, this thing is here, this one is here, this one is here, like this, like this, like this, you easily remember. You really, really remember. But for people that are very disorganized, I don't know how they pull it off, but their brains are wired differently anyway. But I feel when things are a lot more organized, it makes more sense. Then I want to give you a tip. You can use AI to actually improve your studying skills. Like the last exams I wrote, I'm currently doing a program actually. I fed the material that I was going to, that I had, the courseware, I fed it into ChatGPT, and then I now asked questions. And what I did was that I had past questions. So I uploaded the questions. So there's a prompt you can use to actually achieve this. You upload the notes. After uploading the notes, then you now upload the questions and ask ChatGPT to answer the questions or the past questions based on the notes that has been uploaded. This will help you. You can even start this from the beginning of your semester. And there are many other ways you can use AI. You can even use AI to generate mind maps, flow charts. You understand? You can use that. But it's always very good for you to start by yourself. When you actively write, it helps a lot. There are many things I wish I could talk about, but I think this is enough. So we'll just conclude. Let me do this. So good study skills and notes taking can improve your learning. And if you can improve your learning, you can be on top of the world. If you can really learn things well, man, you can really go places. And then choose a method that works for you and be consistent in that method. Be consistent in that method. Don't choose this particular method and then you are just, but pick one, maybe you try for a while, and then if you see it's not working, then you go on to something else. And then practice always. Keep practicing. Keep practicing. Keep practicing. Keep practicing. Just keep practicing. See, when you keep repeating, you master it. So mother of repetition is the mother of mastery. Yeah. When you repeat over and over, you become a master in that particular thing you repeated. So thank you for listening. And I think at this point, you can have questions. Thank you very much.
Wow. Thank you so much. This is so helpful. We really appreciate. Thank you, Dr. Dan. Thank you for this. I think for everybody here, let's appreciate him for making this very important topic, so easy for us. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Dan. We really appreciate it.
Welcome, sir.
I believe if
welcome.
I do this, I would have added maybe small A's to my grades. Thank you so much. Now, this is really, and I believe many other people here have found ways to study better. Like you rightly said, it's not only books it's not only academic things that we are studying these days. There are a lot of things that when you're at work, when you are in church, you might need to bring in some reading, some note taking, and you've given us very, very relatable ideas. For me, I would say I like that Cornell's idea, and for others, for style. Please let us know the kind of style that you would like among the slides that Dr. Dan just presented. Just put it in the chat box so that we can know that you have been following. Yeah, for me, I said I will choose the Cornell style. It will work for me very, very well. Thank you so much once again, and we appreciate your time on this program. So it's time for our questions and answers. And if you have any question, please feel free to raise your hand. There is this icon on that looks like a hand, like the one I'm using now. You can raise it up. Good. Thank you, Thomas. He said the Cornell method works. Good. Yeah. And raise it up, and I would call you, and you can unmute yourself and ask the question. But if you would not like to speak and you want to just throw your questions in the chat box, you are free to do that. You're welcome to do that. And I also feel while we are waiting for people to signify for the questions, Dr. Dan, I don't know if you mind. Would you like us to share the slides with people? Because I feel the things inside, there are things that people should go over again.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Okay. Please do share the slides, please.
Put it in a PDF and share for easy access. Yeah. Okay. Petra said shorthand and Cornell method is a go for. Yeah, that's really good. I'm happy we followed that. So is there anyone that has any question for Dr. Dan? It might have been what you've tried before. I think it's not working. Might have one or two things to get better. Any question, please? Okay, it seems Dr. Dan is a very good teacher. It's when you're a very good teacher that people will be struggling to look for questions. Okay, maybe I should start with my own question. There's this part where you said we should develop a system to yeah, okay. Jesse said teaching what you've learned to others helps so much. Yeah, I can agree too. Dr. Dan, what do you think about that? He said, Jesse said teaching what you've learned to others helps.
Yeah. Okay. Let me quickly talk on that. You see, when you teach what you've learned, it's a very, very active way of learning, because as you are teaching, you are recalling. You are not only recalling, you are also um, showing applications of what you have you have learned. You have showing applications of what you have learned. So you are doing so many things with that information you got. So it kind of consolidates the memory and understanding of what you have learned. For some of us that were teaching lessons back then, I think Mr. Mike, you can relate. All those things that you taught, all those lessons you taught,
Yeah.
probably if they bring those things to you again, it won't take you probably more than an hour or so to remember, and then you just dish it out again. So that's how teaching can actually help you to reinforce the memory and understanding of what you have learned. Yeah.
Then thank you very much. Let me pose my own question before we receive others. So you mentioned something about you were saying it in an example, but it caught my attention. You were saying you kind of tell yourself to say, I have to read this material like 5 times before the exam. Is that a rule of thumb for you? Or it's just it varies for different people? And if you say 5 times, how should they read it over? Is it like from quality to quality, then you go back again, or you pick each topic and you do it first time, second time, third time, fourth time, fifth time? How would you break this down for me?
Okay, in response to how many times you should go through a material, you should know yourself. Oh. If you are
Mm,
somebody that you don't even understand basic terminologies within that course, in fact,
mm,
that is how you test your knowledge of a particular course. When you flip through and you see some words and they're looking really strange to you, it gives you an idea that you really don't know what is in that material. You may not grasp it fast. So that gives you an idea. And then you know yourself, your capacity to understand. You know your attention span. All these things are factors that will influence the number of times and the number of hours you may have to commit to studying. You need to look at it. Look at yourself normally. Are you someone that even enjoys studying? If you're not someone who enjoys studying, then you should know you must add longer time than someone who
mm.
does it with ease. You get the idea. So these are things that you need to factor in: your attention span, your current skill, your so many things, your current knowledge of what is presented in the material. It will really help you. And don't deceive yourself, please. Don't look at the material because it's just 50 pages. 1 week to exam, I will study. It will shock you. There are some courses that are just 50 pages, and then
And
it is well. Let me just stop at that.
take your time, right? Okay. We
Yeah.
have thank you so much for that. I think it's really good that I learned something from that. To be honest with oneself, if there are words that are not sticking very, very well for you, just know that you continue until you know that you've already had a good time on that topic. There are 2 questions here. The first one is I like the question myself, and I would love to also hear the answer. Person says, my problem is I find it difficult to focus. Please, how do I solve this? You know, I can read the person's mind to say the person is trying to say, let me just focus on this book and put it in my head, but it's a little difficult. What would you advise? How can the person solve this?
Okay. For focus, the thing is, you need to, when you settle down to read, you must have planned before that time. You understand? And usually, when you plan and you sit down, some other things begin to intrude that time. Usually, social media, usually unfinished tasks, different things. If you're a businessman like me, that client that has not paid he has not paid his bills for the service you rendered. So I think the thing is, focus is something that you learn over time. It is something you don't just focus immediately. You need to constantly bring yourself back to what you are doing. Constantly bring yourself back to what you are doing. Constantly bring yourself back to what you are doing. And then before you even start, try to minimize all those other unfinished tasks that may intrude into your study time. If you know there's something that's urgent that you must do that can really affect your study or something else, just try to deal with it. And then please do away with social media when it is time to study. I'm telling you, it is one of the huge distractions. I mean, it's very difficult to find people that can study and be doing social media effectively at the same time. I mean, so try as much as possible to cut off all those other side distractions. So I don't know if that makes sense, but I guess that's what I have to say to that question.
Thank you very much, sir. Yeah, I believe that was helpful. Um, the mind can be tricky sometimes, but just like you said, if we can put it in one place, and that tip of social media, trying to focus on on things instead of trying to do. You said something about multitasking. There's some multitasking that are not
Yeah.
necessary. Yeah. I think this person can also benefit from that slide by you don't have to put too much in your mind when you are trying to read. Thank you, sir. There's this other interesting question here that says, what are the practical ways to love, in quotes, or enjoy what you intend to read before reading or studying, like you said, sir? How are the give us practical ways to love or enjoy, maybe I want to do organic chemistry. How can I love or enjoy it before I start reading it? Like you said.
Okay. Aha. Okay, I like that question. I really like it. Yeah. Okay, so this is it. Usually you start with the end in mind. Those questions you were asking before you started studying, how is this applicable? What will it result in? You understand? Like now, for something like organic chemistry, someone like me, I would have probably, if I want to pick my interest in organic chemistry, um, I will go online. Let me just tell you what I do. The moment I get really interested, I want to get really interested in something, I begin to search applications of that thing. So I'll search things like things that are made from the knowledge in organic chemistry,
Wow.
current day applications of those things. I'll try to find if I can see anything like that around me. You understand? This, and then look at ways it can be beneficial. And then for those of us that are really money driven, marry it to something that is really interesting to you or something that you're interested in. Like now, if you are bringing something, you are giving me a course like, say, maybe video editing. I'll ask myself, how is it going to benefit me? Can I make some money from it? Things like this, it should be surprising to you that things like this can actually pique your interest. Okay, the current course that I am doing, I'm doing it so that I can get I can get a job with an NGO so that I can work as an epidemiologist for an NGO. That's why I'm doing that course. So it drives me. It makes me wake up. It makes me get interested. You understand? So work around this. I mean, there are different ways you can actually pick your interest in something. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much for that. I learned something good from there. Like, go online, see what that thing can produce, see what that particular people that have studied that subject, that course, what they have done, what that thing can do, and it can inspire you to put your answer in it, and that's so good, especially for people who are studying, professionally. You are doing ICANN now. I like your answer about if it's not something that is like academics degree or whatever that is motivating you, money can motivate you. I don't know if that's what you said. In short, yes. Yeah, money can motivate you to like a particular course, because maybe after I finish this course or this skill, people will be looking for you up and down in the country. That can be a motivation too. Yeah. So thank you so much for that. That's very, very practical. Thomas is even saying that is a perfect answer. One question is also popping up here. It says, when reading and you get to a point where you are finding it hard to understand a particular part, is it advisable to scrap it and move on? When you are reading and you get to a point, editing is not entering again, that part, not the whole course, is it advisable to scrap it and move on, maybe to the next, topic in that course?
Is it advisable cram it, not scrap? Cram.
To cram it. Oh, thank you, Samuel.
Okay. Okay. Is it advisable to cram?
Yeah.
The parts that you don't understand.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. There are some things that you may not like understand. You just have to memorize them. You have to, and cramming is one way of memorizing. You may not understand, but cramming will help you. It's not everything that you can cram, though. There are concepts that you must be able to understand and explain. So when you get to a point where you don't understand something, ask yourself, is this something that I must be able to explain or understand? Or is something that I should just be able to give back out verbatim? Like if you are doing something like anatomy, if you are doing a course like anatomy, they may ask you questions about muscles, bones, and stuff like that. So cramming helps in courses like that. It is when you now at the basic level, say like 200 level, cramming will help you just get those things. But it is when you begin to advance and you begin to engage with these things practically, that you begin to see how they work. You begin to understand the concepts behind how that muscle works or how that bone functions, So you should be able to identify, is this something I must be able to explain? And if it is something that you must be able to explain, please don't just cram it. You can try to memorize it, but ask for help. You can even use ChatGPT. Explain so and so concepts in layman terms, as if you are explaining it to you understand? These are things that you can do. Like someone asked me recently, what is freeze drying? What is freeze drying? Freeze drying. Now, I had to look for a way to explain it really simply to the person. So I just took the concept freeze drying to ChatGPT. Please explain this in layman terms. And I got a very good explanation. Very simple. One paragraph. I gave it to the guy, and the guy was like, I mean, you get.
Yeah.
So, man, let me not talk too much. Mr. Mike.
Thank you so much. We are really grateful for this session, and we believe it wouldn't have been better than this if we had it somewhere else. So thank you so much. Can we please
I'm
appreciate
losing you. I can't hear you well, sir.
How is it now? Hello. Hello. Can anybody hear me?
We can hear you, sir.
Can hear you from this end.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Dan. We really appreciate your time this evening and for this, quality session. that you've given us. And for everybody that has found time to come here, I really want to say thank you so much. And I believe that the skills that you've learned, you will take them along with you, because reading does not end. So I said, thank God for ChatGPT. Yes, I don't know if we'll do a session on ChatGPT, but guys, if you've not been using ChatGPT, I don't know which generation you are in. No. Maybe you are still in baby boomers. Even baby boomers self are using ChatGPT. There was a time someone posted on a church group and posted, here is what you will tell somebody that is bereaved of somebody. And the person now quoted down, condolence, my condolence. The person did not know what to tell someone that lost the mother or father. So the person asked ChatGPT. I know the way ChatGPT, no, the WhatsApp one, the Meta AI. Now the thing will say, here is the message you will tell somebody who lost his mother. That's how the person copied and pasted it in the group. And it was not fun. But people did not really see it on time chat. But for we that of this age bracket, I would really like to encourage you to learn how to use ChatGPT. Like what the doctor said, there's this thing that I do myself. I say, explain this to a 10-year-old, it will break it down, break whatever that thing is, and you see it. I'm like, okay. To tell you, imagine that this is, let's not go into that tonight. But I believe that the skills that we've learned this evening would really help us to learn well and to be able to take good and proper notes. Thank you so much, Dr. Dan, once again. I'll just take 5 more minutes of your time to tell you that this seminar is number 6 in a series of seminars where I told you that we've already done time management, we've done career planning and development, we've done effective communication, we've done critical thinking and problem solving. Last month we did stress management. Today we have done study skills and note taking. We still have 4 more topics to go, which will always be at the last on the last Sunday of every month. The next topic will excite you. And the next topic is going to be on the last Sunday in November, which happens to be November 24. And our topic that day will be financial literacy. So guys, I want you to invite your friends. I want you to also come around and learn. Like you saw the way Dr. Dan delivered today. That's how we choose the right man or woman for the job to talk to us about the things, the topics that we've selected. So please invite your friends and come around next month around this time. If you've not been receiving any of my messages or emails, please, you can drop your phone number or your email address, whichever one you're comfortable with, in the chat box, and then I can glean them at the end and send you some messages. And before we go, one other important information is that we are going to be uploading this video that you've seen this meeting on YouTube. There's a channel that I upload all these things on. You can go ahead and see all the seminars there. So please, if you would like to access that YouTube channel to see all the previous recordings, you can reach out to me or reach out to anyone that invited you to this great session. Someone is asking in the slide in the chat box that how do we get the slides? That will not be a problem. Also, you can drop your phone number or you can drop your email address in the chat box, and then I'll look for a way to get it to you. So thank you so much, everybody. You can unmute yourself and say hi to your friends before you go. But more importantly, remember that next month, last Sunday of the month, November 24, we'll be having another session like this where we'll be talking about financial literacy, and we're going to be bringing, people that are experts in that field to speak to us. Thank you, and do have a good night, everybody.
Good night, sir.
You can meet yourself and say good night.
Thank you. Good night, sir.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you so much. Good night. Thank you, Dr. Dam, again.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you very much. Mr. Mike, now good day. Thank you very much.
Everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
Yep.
So you can still drop your email or your telephone number on the chat box, or reach out to me privately if you can. And I'm more than willing to share the slides with you and the link to the YouTube channel where you can listen to this session again and the previous sessions. Thank you.
Everybody don't wrong. Go back, Jesse. He showed me, say Elisha just drop full. Allah, it's not online. Elisha, are you online? I mean, just drop your phone and just do as if you are at the meeting. Not online.
Like say Elisha don't sleep.
Elisha don't sleep.
I beg leave Elisha alone.
Which of the units is this one first? Okay, Eunice, how are you? You two have slept, Eunice. The Lord is your strength. Well done, sir. Brother Daniel, good evening. Oh, I get pharmacology to read.